The pressure Faye never signed up for. At some point, the narrative around Faye quietly changed. She didn't announce it. She didn't acknowledge it. But fans felt it. What once looked like natural presence slowly turned into responsibility, and suddenly, Faye wasn't just part of a story anymore. She became the center of it. And that's a kind of pressure no one signs up for. When support turns into expectation. In the beginning, Faye's role felt effortless. Her care looked organic. Her reactions felt instinctive. Her presence felt warm without being heavy. But as circumstances shifted, especially after Yoko's health scare, fans noticed something subtle but powerful happen. Care turned into expectation. Suddenly, people weren't just watching Faye, they were depending on her. To reassure, to stabilize, to show strength when things felt uncertain. And expectation, no matter how loving it seems, is still pressure. The unspoken role she slipped into. No one assigned Faye this role out loud. But fandoms don't need formal agreements to create emotional contracts. Over time, fans began looking to Faye for cues. Is Yoko okay? Are things stable? Is everything under control? And without realizing it, Faye became the emotional translator of a situation she never asked to explain. That's an exhausting place to live. Why fans are watching Faye more closely than ever. The attention didn't come from suspicion. It came from trust. Fans believe Faye will show them the truth, even if no one says it. So every pause is analyzed. Every silence feels weighted. Every shift in tone becomes meaningful. But the problem with being trusted that deeply is this. You stop being allowed to be human. The pressure to be steady, always. Faye doesn't get to look unsure. She doesn't get to look tired. She doesn't get to step back without it being interpreted. Fans have noticed how composed she seems lately, calm, controlled, careful. Some call it maturity. Others call it distance. But many are starting to see it for what it really is. Someone holding themselves together because they feel they have to. How Yoko's recovery changed the balance. Health scares don't just affect the person recovering. They change the gravity of every relationship around them. Fans believe that during Yoko's recovery, Faye naturally shifted into a protective role, one that required less expression and more restraint. And once you become the stabilizing force, stepping out of that role feels dangerous. Because what happens if you do? Who carries the calm then? Why this pressure is invisible, but heavy. The hardest pressure to carry is the kind no one admits exists. There are no headlines saying, Faye must hold everything together. But the expectation lives in a comment sections, a fan edits, reaction videos, silent assumptions. It lives in the belief that Faye will always be okay, so others can be. And that belief is heavy. Fans are starting to question the cost. More fans are beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. What does this pressure cost her emotionally? Does she feel allowed to step back? Is her silence strength or self-protection? These questions don't come from negativity. They come from concern. Because pressure doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like quiet endurance. When strength becomes a trap. Being strong is admirable. But being expected to be strong is dangerous. Faye's current era feels like one where strength is no longer optional, it's assumed. And that's when even care can start to feel like a burden. Final thoughts. The pressure Faye never signed up for wasn't fame. It wasn't attention. It wasn't speculation. It was responsibility without consent. The responsibility to be steady, to be reassuring, to be the emotional anchor for a situation bigger than any one person. And while fans continue to watch closely, perhaps the most important thing to remember is this. Even anchors need rest. Sometimes, the strongest thing a fandom can do is allow someone to be human.